Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming on this morning. We're glad everybody is able to be with us here at Actichem. We've decided to make good use of these lockdown conditions which many of us are facing at the moment to bring a bit more training and information to our valued clients. We are going to be talking today in relation to odour control, which is something which is a hot topic with many people, with most of us that are doing both carpet cleaning and through even to the restoration professionals too. So I'm going to be unpacking this. So odour control is an interesting topic. There's many odours, many malodours out there, and we'll go through them and we'll discuss them in brief detail. And then of course there is also a vast variety of different odour neutralisers and deodorisers, which can be just as confusing to decide as to which one to use when and where. So we'll first go through, just get us all on the same page. I've just got a few slides which are what I call getting us all onto the same page slides. So the first one here is in relation to the malodours. So just to run through a couple of the ones that we're familiar with, but I've broken them down into a couple of categories. We've got the first one as our organics, which is probably the one that we face the most as a carpet cleaner. As a restoration technician, we're probably running into quite a bit of fire as well. Organics, however, seem to be the toughest to face, and those can be broken down into excrements. These are our body fluids, urine, feces, both from animals and humans. We have our typical rotting vegetation, which once again can rotting vegetable and animal and human matter. We throw fish in there as well. If anybody's ever tried to cope with a freezer that has had fish in it, which has electricity is turned off, you know that fish is a tough one to get on top of. We've also then got one I call pathogens. Now, bacteria is in fact one of the key reasons that most of our organics emits a malodour. However, I have put it separately because it encompasses our mould and also encompasses what we find and tackle a lot in flood damage work, whether it is as a result of, let's say, a category 3 black water type flood damage situation, or even where we have clean water which has leaked but has been allowed to linger over a long time, and thus bacterial growth or biological growth has started to take hold. Then we've got our fire. Fire is typically broken down into 3 areas, and it is important just to isolate as to what the cause of the fire is, because it will go into where we are, what type of deodorizer we're going to need to use, and even down to how we clean it up. So there's synthetic fires, which are caused by synthetics, plastic, rubber, synthetic clothing, acrylics, etc., and then also hydrocarbons, oils, and these sort of things. Then we have protein fires, which is meats, flesh, mainly as a result of a cooking expedition which has gone wrong. And finally our natural fires, which is paper, wood, natural textiles, natural clothing such as cotton, but also bushfires and the likes. Lastly, I've just got curry. Curry can be a really tough one. The staining, of course, of curry is a whole other subject which we can discuss another day. But the odour neutralising on curry is also a very challenging subject. And then we have tobacco, where we have got people that have been smoking in a room or a section of a building, and that is often treated in a similar way to fire for obvious reasons. We'll then run along and discuss about the process. Now, getting the process right is very critical when it comes to odour control. It is as important as the chemicals itself, and we need to make sure that every time we tackle an odour control situation that we have a definite process that we're following. Now, many of you have probably got this process, but let's let's officialise it, you might say, put it on paper, ensure that your technicians understand it, and also understand as to why you're doing what you're doing, and ensure that your technicians understand why they're doing what they're doing. That gives them much greater buy-in and much better control of the situation, and ultimately ensures a much more successful job. So we start off at one, which is the incident, a fire or the source of the odour, which can be organics or fire, tobacco, curry, as we've discussed. Initially, we speak about protecting ourselves. In some instances, this is especially relevant in fire restoration, where the odours can be quite toxic, and also can be very irritation to the respiratory system. So step number 2 is not necessarily always required, but sometimes we do need a knockdown odour control product there. The other thing that goes in to protect yourself, if you are dealing with a category 3 with a black water situation or some serious biodecontamination, you need to protect yourself by spraying it over with a disinfectant first up. So don't overlook that. The safety of yourself and your technicians needs to come first on these jobs. Then the most important of it all is to remove the source. We cannot neutralise an odour where the source is still present. And whilst it is obvious, we've got a pile of dog poo in the middle of the room, we do know that spraying a copious amount of odour neutraliser is not going to sort it out unless we actually remove it. But it can be more subtle than that. Many of our odours have gone right down into the base of our carpets, but into the subfloor. Unless we actually reach down there to where the odour has gone, where the odour source has gone, we will never effectively remove that odour. A prime case in point is urine. So we're treating some urine from let's say from the top down. However, we often need to get right down to the base of where that urine has gone. So the next step is the neutralisation of the malodours. That's where our Limotech products come in. So we neutralise the malodours, and I'll discuss that in a little bit more detail, where the actual malodour molecule is eradicated. And then finally we have the replacement scent. Now the replacement scent is very important, very interesting. It's been scientifically proven that, for instance, if you have got a washroom which is been constantly, has always had a constant high level of urine smell in it, so let's say it's in an office block or even in a fast food shop, and people are going in there every day. Even once you have eradicated that scent out the bathroom, that malodour out the bathroom, so the air is absolutely crystal clear, there is no malodour whatsoever. Somebody that's always gone into that washroom every single day, when he walks through that door, his brain says to him, there is a smell of urine in this bathroom, and even though the odour has been removed, the brain still says, you've walked through that door, you will be smelling urine now. So what we need to do then is to provide a replacement scent, a completely different scent, so that when you walk through the bathroom door, the brain smells a completely different scent, and it resets the olfactory sensors in much the same way as you reboot a computer. So you're resetting the olfactory sensors, and the brain triggers that the old malodour has been removed. Very important. I'm sure many of you had this issue with clients when you've actually done everything you can. They come back home and they still tell you that the place smells. One issue that we do have in regard to removing the odour source is choosing the correct chemistry and the correct processes to do this. So I've just got a separate slide on this. Just to clarify this point, is down the left hand side we have got the varieties of odour sources. And might I add, these aren't the only malodours that there are in the world, but these are certainly the ones that we are mainly faced with. However, let's have a look at we've got smoke and soot, we've got our rotting organics, body fluids, urine, mould and flood, curry. This sort of encompasses probably at least 90% or more of what we face in everyday work. So the smoke and soot absolutely needs to do a fire restoration clean. I've got a little note there in relation to including oxidizers. Oxidizers go a long way towards removing malodours when it comes to smoke and soot. So this is oxidizers are things like sodium bicarbonate and hydrogen peroxide. That is essentially all our oxygen products which come through in our products, such as Oxyboost Plus or our Perside or our Perox. So bear that in mind. We can discuss that further at some point. Be free to ask some further questions on that one. Very, very important. And on our rotting organics, we need to be looking at bactericides or enzymes. The most prevalent thing that is causing our rotting organics to be a malodor is the growth of bacteria. So bactericides are very, very important. The other way of tackling them is to use probiotic enzymes. Also very, very powerful way of eliminating that rotting organic and also the bacteria that is there. However, we must understand that enzymes don't necessarily give you a germ-free surface. So if we're sitting with a situation where there is a danger of germs, anything that could provide an infection, we must use a bactericide. So body fluids especially run with that. Body fluids, we absolutely need to use bactericides to protect ourselves and to protect the clients. There may be some cases where we can use enzymes as well because it is an organic that we're removing, but we need to make sure that there's no harmful germs involved in that. Urine, acid and bactericide, a very interesting subject, urine, and maybe we can run another one of these specifically on urine decontamination. But there's only really two ways of removing the urine crystal, and unless we do that, we will never eradicate the smell. The first one is with an acid, and then we tie that in with a bactericide to kill the remaining germs, normally E. coli, to remove our odours. So the one part of the odour of urine is ammonia, which is emitted from the urine as a result of it becoming an alkaline crystal, and then the second part is the bactericide, which is a bactericide, which is normally E. coli, which also obviously emits an odour. So the acid and the bactericide sort that both out. The other option is to use enzymes, very, very effective as well, which tackles both the crystal and the bacteria as well. Mold and flood, we need to run with a moldicide, a bactericide, and then finally curry and tobacco is often taken using essentially a fire restoration type clean, including oxidizers. Even for curry, it doesn't make sense, but it sure works. The next thing that we spoke about a little bit earlier was the ability to actually tackle that malodor molecule itself. So we removed the source, which is very, very important. However, we still have a lot of stubborn malodor molecules that are trapped in the yarn of carpets that are actually existent in the air. These are also trapped in porous surfaces such as wood, which in many cases can expand, let's say under the heat of fire, or as a result of moisture in a flood situation, and when they then dry or when they cool, they contract again and trap a lot of these malodor molecules. So even though the area looks totally clean, there may still be these malodor molecules which are giving you problems in the sense that there still is a slight odour throughout the area. And this is where molecular pairing comes in. So in our Limotech technology, we have a molecular pairing system, which is a special molecule which hunts out the malodor molecules and attaches itself to them and creates a new odourless molecule. So that's new odourless molecule that happens at a molecular level. So that new odourless molecule can never revert back to its original malodor state. So that is a completely new molecule which can't be smelt, and it works very, very effectively both in fire restoration and with organic odours. Now, just to run down to our actual practical day-by-day work, what products are we going to use? How we're going to achieve what we are discussing. So the first suite of products that we've got are some that many of you would be familiar with. The first being Deosan, then the Deozyme, which is a newer product, and then the Pet and Flood. Now, the Geostore has been a very, very popular product for many years in the sense that it has got very, very powerful Elimotech technology in it in terms of being able to convert those malodors at a molecular pairing level, but it also has got our antimicrobial component in it, which destroys our odor-causing germs. So if we have a look at the little diagram in the bottom right-hand corner, so I've just pulled this off from the previous page. We are here using the Geostore to protect ourselves, and we're using that same product to remove the odour source, neutralise the malodors and the replacement scent. So we've got one product which in one process is essentially doing four jobs for us there. So very, very successful product as a result, where we are taking, let's say, 4 processes and doing it all with one product. Now, the Geostore, like the Geostore, has got our Elimotech technology in it, but instead of being powered with an antimicrobial, it is powered with bioenzymes. So these bioenzymes, yes, are enzymes, however, they are based on our bioenzymes, which is essentially safe bacteria which create enzymes on the job. Very, very effective for organic soiling and for organic odours, especially urine, and it had some absolute awesome feedback on really, really bad fish issues with, you know, let's say messy fishing expeditions which have gone wrong, not at the time, but in the days following when they haven't cleaned things out the way that they should have. The one was the back boot of a car. We also had a fish issue presented to us with a fridge that lost power, and the fish oils went right down through to the base of the floor and under the base plates of the building. After weeks of trying various things, it was the Geostore which finally brought the relief to the owners of the house. And then we've got the Pet and Flood, which is specifically around urine. It is very, very effective in flood work as well. However, we have found very, very much feedback more relating to the urine situation. So the organic acid complex in there neutralises the urine crystals. Got some really cool super wetting agents in it which take it right down to the base of the carpet, but also to the midst of the carpet yarn. Also works very well on hard surfaces, washrooms and bathrooms and the likes. And then the antimicrobial agents within the Pet and Flood destroys your odour-causing germs, and the Elimotech technology neutralises the malodor molecules. Finally, we've got a fresh floral scent which resets the olfactory senses. So once again, you can see in our diagram down the bottom, we have a product which pretty much encompasses the whole scope of what we're trying to do just in one product. And that's the beauty of these 3 products, is being able to do that for many of our situations. The next products we're going to have a quick look at and unpack is the Geostore range. So the Geostore range is a product range which is focused more on our extreme situations, and they are broken down into 4 different products, all of the same base, however they focus on different applications. So the Geostore Fire is designed around neutralising smoke and soot odours, and then we've got the Geostore Extreme, which can be used for both fire and organic. However, this is an ultra concentrated product. The word extreme comes into it, and we use that a lot for our very, very severe malodor situations, tobacco, curry, cadaverine odours, and we use that as an additive only. We don't use that on its own. And then we have got the Geostore Organic, which we use for our rotting organic matter, feces, urine and mould. And then finally the Geostore Spray. So before we go into the Geostore Spray, I just want to say the Geostore products are all around being used together with your other cleaning products. So yes, we can use them on their own by diluting them down with water. However, they are typically designed, let's say the Geostore Fire is designed to be added to your fire restoration chemical, as is the Geostore Extreme. The Geostore Organic would be designed to be added to your, let's say your bactericide, where you have got a severe rotting organic matter situation, or in many cases it might be a biodecontamination situation. So we add in these to those cleanup products. So we are neutralising the odours at the same time as we are removing the source. The Geostore spray is a good one. Many people inquire about a lasting, lingering fragrance. We do also agree that most of the times we are tackling the surface of these situations, and what about the odours that are still left circulating in the air, possibly even through the air conditioning system. The Geostore spray is a great product to have on hand. So when you completed the job, you run through the rooms and give a puff of the Geostore spray, ready to use in a spray bottle into each of the rooms, and that certainly freshens up, removes any of the final odours that might be drifting around in the air. It is also based on the Elimotech technology, so what that means is that any of these malodor molecules that might have escaped your original clean are tackled with the Geostore spray. The other nice thing about it is that it has powerful ability to remove airborne germs. So where you have germs running, airborne germs, which is a fact of life, they will also be tackled by the Geostore spray, including mycotoxins from mold, which is all sources of odours, but also sources of bacterial and viral infection. So have the Geostore spray on hand in a spray bottle. You can also put it in a pump-up sprayer. Well, on a fine mist, it is not something to be used, however, on through any fogging equipment. Then finally, we have the Odour tack products, which are specifically designed to be used through fogging equipment. So for those in the restoration industry that are doing fire restoration in particular, and are using cold or wet foggers, or thermal foggers, these Odour tack products are for you. And we've got 2 water-based ones, and we've got 2 solvent-based ones. So we've got a citrus fragrance, which is particularly suitable for protein and timber fires, and then a floral fragrance, which is typically used for organic odours. And then we, sorry, I should add, the plastic and synthetic fires tackles, it normally tackled best with the floral. And then the solvent-based Odour tack products, once again citrus and floral, and these are for our thermal fogging equipment. It is important to check with your fogging equipment supplier as to what your fogging equipment is designed to take, whether a water-based thermal fogging solution is suitable for it, or whether it requires a solvent-based one. It is important just to differentiate those and to ensure that your equipment is capable for it. So that's a brief overview of the products. Here we have a very handy chart, and Actichem loves these charts because they give you a very easy overview of the products, what you can use them for, what dilution they are. All your questions are answered on one page, and got a couple of really easy notes on the right hand side. So we'd love to be able to share some of this information with you, and love to field more of your questions. Please be free to have a look and let us know what we can do to help you further. So we've just got a couple of questions which I'm going to just answer. There's just one question here, that when using pet and flood, do we need to basically flood the carpet or just a heavy pre-spray? Yeah, that question is a question which is so relevant. People are asking that all the time, and my answer to that is essentially we need to get the pet and flood down to wherever the urine has got down. So we can't remove a urine odour if we don't get the pet and flood to wherever the urine has got. So if it is let's say a localised little incident by a little Fido, we're probably going to be using it just from the top down. We can give it a fairly heavy flood, and we can get that sorted out quite easily. But if it has been a corner that Fido has used for day in and day out for many months, we are going to have to flood that carpet, and there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either actually pull the carpet back, which many times we have to do. Sometimes if the urine has gone right down to the base, the underfelt needs to be replaced. So we need to treat the front of the carpet, the back of the carpet, and possibly even the floorboards or the concrete. However, I do know that many people take the pet and flood and literally put it in a watering can and flood that area. and then they leave it for 10 minutes and then they extract out with a water claw. So don't do the watering can trick unless you've got a water claw, but absolutely you need to get it to where we are using it, so where the urine has gone. So malodors are simply just another question that's come through as to malodors. Malodors are just odours that are not fresh odours. In other words, bad smells. That's just a technical chemistry way of saying a bad smell is the word malodors. The addition of adding Perox to pet and flood has just come through as well. Very effective way of achieving excellent results with pet and flood is the ability to add hydrogen peroxide to pet and flood. So pet and flood has been designed to be compatible with hydrogen peroxide. The Actichem hydrogen peroxide is called Perox. So if you were to add the Perox to pet and flood at say round about 60 mils of Perox per your ready to use solution of pet and flood, you get absolutely awesome results, which also will remove a lot of the, if not all of the staining. So there's just one further question in relation to where the DeoFresh products come in. So the DeoFresh products many of you have used for many years now, been actually hugely successful. The DeoFresh products, let's say, come in ahead of the Geostore products. They are, or let's say before that, they are products that are more around deodorizing. They don't have a lot of the Elimotech technology in them to be able to reduce a lot of the malodors. They do have some bactericide in them, but what they are designed for is to be added to your pre-spray or added to your emulsifier solution, your in-tank emulsifier for creating or re-odorizing the area. In other words, where there's a general odor, a musty odor, they will often do that at the time of cleaning. But where you have more serious odors, specific organic odors, specific odor sources, we need to start looking at the Geostore products. When you are using Perox, just a question in relation to using a mask. Not always required if it is not being sprayed. However, the minute we aerosolize a product, in other words, put it through a spray bottle, put it through a pump-up sprayer, I always recommend using a mask with Perox or for any chemical for that matter. So the other couple of questions, just to pick up on a couple, we're running just over time now, but we'll just answer these questions while we've got everybody together. Could you utilise Biosan 2 following use of pet and flood and rinsing? Yeah, absolutely you can, especially in severe situations. So Biosan 2 is an absolute, brilliant when it comes to bacteria and viruses. What I would suggest or say though is that Biosan 2 on its own cannot be used for urine for the simple reason that it doesn't break down the uric crystal. We always need to use it in conjunction with an organic acid, which the pet and flood provides us. So we have just another question. Should extensive urine be removed as best as possible first and then apply pet and flood and let sit, then remove after 10 minutes? I would just go straight into the pet and flood. Assuming that the area is dry, I would go straight into the pet and flood. One thing to remember is that a previous clean on there, and sometimes you can do this if you're cleaning a house. Yes, certainly you can run and do the pre-spray, etc., and follow up with the urine treatment. However, remember that any moisture in the carpet is going to essentially dilute the pet and flood that goes into there. So if I knew that there was a bad spot in one area of the carpet, before I even took my equipment out of my car, I would flood that area, I would treat it with the pet and flood. Gives you maximum dwell time, and then go and do the rest of your clean and finish it up with it again. So yeah, I would let the pet and flood do the work for me instead of the regular pre-spray. So thank you very much, and we will look forward to seeing you again. Cheers.